We're going to build a simple automated sales agent using only 3 nodes in N8N. So if your inbox is a mess, this will save you hours a week. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to do the same. Let's dive in. So to start, we're going to assume that we are a web design agency. We offer 2 different types of products. We offer standard templates, so kind of more of a productized service. And then we also offer some custom designs. So we want a way that if somebody sends us an inquiry for a new project, our AI agent can automatically respond for the productized version and then send an email to a sales agent when it's needing a little bit more customization. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to set up the project. We're going to go right into N8N. We're going to hit create a workflow. Now that we have our workflow, all we need to do is we just need to rename it. We'll just call this one website sales. Now, N8N works on a node system. Nodes are kind of like building blocks for automation. Each one represents a specific action, app, or a decision. So you connect them together to create these smart workflows that move data, triggers, and action and basically automate your full process. Let's add a node to see exactly how this works. So to add a node, you can simply click either here or in the top right-hand corner here. Now, there are several different types of nodes. For this one, we need a way for our customers to send us their requests. I think for this one, the perfect thing is going to be a form. Now let's take a look. There's 3 main components. The left is the input field, which is where all of the data is being sent or captured or processed. Then on the far right, we have the output. This shows you the results after we've taken some kind of action. Now, speaking of the action section is in the middle. This is where you choose what the node actually does. Now, if you're ever unsure of what a node does, you can always click right here and read the documentation section. Let's create some fields for our form, and then we'll also explain what it does. So for the first one, we need a form title. We're just going to call this website sales. Then we're going to add a name field that can be text. We'll also need a way to get emails. So we're going to add email, and we'll select the email dropdown. Lastly, we need a way for them to tell us exactly what it is that they want. So we'll just call it message for now. And we'll select text area. Now we want to make sure that all of these fields are required. Now you also notice this fixed or expression selector. Now this is going to become important a little bit later on, so we're not going to touch on it right now. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this form actually works. So let's click execute step. Now we're just going to fill in some information, and let's say I am looking to buy a landing page template. How much does it cost? Now that we submitted our data, let's go back to the node and try to understand exactly what happened. If you take a look at this, you'll see that the data we entered can be viewed in 3 different formats. There's table, schema, and JSON. Now, JSON is essentially just a way for computers to speak to each other in a format that's easy to read. It's organized in pairs called key and value. So just like a table, you can actually look up any value by its key. So for example, if we wanted to find the name, I would look up name and I could see the name is Chris. And I can do the exact same thing with email and I can see the email. It's the exact same thing when we look at JSON. We'll see name, Chris, email, and then the email, as well as what we requested. This is how we get the nodes to start to talk to each other. Now, every time you want to test your workflow, you're going to need to rerun the node. But when you're building a new workflow, sometimes you really don't need this. N8N has a feature that lets you keep all of the values so that way you don't need to continuously rerun it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this feature, and it's basically just called pin. So we're going to pin the data. Now let's see how we can figure out the quote logic. We're going to need to use AI for this one. So let's try to see if we can get an AI node. We're going to search for OpenAI, and we're going to use the messenger model. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, you can see that our data is already there. That's because the nodes are connected. So the output from the form node becomes the input for the AI node. So we have everything we need, but we just need a way for AI to be able to read the contents and give a quote. Now, this node will let us do that. But first, we need to get an API key from OpenAI. Every time we run this node, we're actually charged by OpenAI. So creating a key is simple. So you just click here, then you click create a new credential, and then you click open the docs, and then you follow the instructions on the OpenAI website. Now, I already have this done, so we're just going to use one of my credentials that's already there. So that way we can just skip that step for now. Now we need to create the custom agent. We're actually going to use ChatGPT to help us to create this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this prompt. We're going to ask ChatGPT to create an AI agent that's capable of reading 3 fields. It's going to be the name, email, and a message field. Then it also needs to be able to compare the message to the products we offer. If it is a template, then we're going to ask it to draft a very simple, friendly email saying that we're excited to work with them, describe asking for, and then to provide them with a quote. Now, the other thing we need it to do is we need it to output JSON because, again, that's how we're making sure that these nodes can speak to each other. So we're going to ask it to output the price and a client name in JSON format, and we'll use that for the next node. So now that we have the prompt that we're going to use, let's finish building out our AI agent. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to select a model. Let's use the 4.0 model for this one. Then we have to select a role. There are 3 different types of roles. There's user, assistant, and system. So a system prompt is essentially the instructions. That's what's going to create your AI agent. Your user prompt is almost like when you're talking to ChatGPT. And then the assistant helps to kind of give it a specific tone if you need a specific tone. So we're going to create the user prompt, and then we're going to paste in the prompt that we got from ChatGPT. So here's the prompt that basically explains what the role is, what we're looking for, and also its requirements to output in JSON format. So this is perfect. So the next thing we need is we actually need to tell it the packages that we have. I'll create another user prompt, and I'll just drop in our packages. So as an example, we'll say landing pages cost about $100. Blog costs $297, and let's say an e-commerce costs $397. So that's just as an example if somebody's looking for a templates. So the next thing we need to do is we actually need to figure out a way to get the information from the input node into the action part of the node. This is where that fixed versus expression comes in. So the fixed option is very simple. All it is whatever value you put in there, it will remain fixed. It won't change. It's not dynamic. But if we had a way to reference data by the key, let's say, then as we're getting new requests from customers, our results would become more custom. So what we have to do is we actually have to use expression. So I'm going to click expression, and then I'm going to click this right here to open up the assistant. Now, if you remember, we gave specific instructions to our AI agent. It's going to be looking for a few fields. It's going to be looking for the name, the email, and the request. So let's actually see how we can put this in. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to type in name. So now to grab the reference to the name, we can simply drag name here and drop it there. So now anytime there's a new request, the name will automatically be updated to that person's name. Let's do the same thing with the email. And the last thing we need to do this for is we got to do it for the actual message, which is the quote, the request for quote. Perfect. So let's close this. And the last thing we need to do is remember, we need this to be in JSON format so that way when we send it to the next node, it's actually able to process it. So we're going to select right here. Now everything is looking fine. Let's see what happens when we try to execute this step. Okay, let's take a look here. So it says landing page template inquiry. So it came up with its subject. Hi, Chris, thank you for reaching out. I'm excited to tell you more about our landing page. So it recognized that we were asking for a landing page. It's designed to help you create a polished and professional landing page with ease, perfect for capturing your audience's attention and driving conversions. That's exactly what you would expect from a landing page. The price for a landing page template is $97. If we look, you'll see that we were charging $97. Please let us know if you have any questions or if you'd like to proceed with the purchase. That's perfect. What we're going to do is we're going to pin this result, and now we got to figure out how to turn it into an email. Now for this one, we're going to use, let's look for Gmail. And because I don't want it to actually send out an email, we're going to use create a draft. Again, you'll see that the output from the AI agent node becomes the input for this node. And we can simply use the exact same technique that we used before using expressions. Let's use the expression, and we can say for the subject, we are going to use the subject, which is made dynamically by our AI agent. And then for the actual email, we're going to use response. Now we also need a way to send it to the actual individual. So we're going to need email. Let's click here and we click to. If you look here, we didn't actually output the email, but that's okay. Because these nodes were connected, we can actually access information from a prior node. So if I click up here and I go to the form submission, I can actually drag and drop the reference to the email. Now I'm using Gmail and I already have my Gmail connected, but if you didn't, you would simply have to click create new credential and then you can sign in with Google. So it's very simple. Perfect. So it looks like we have everything we need. We just need to test this. Okay, so now that it's executed, let's see if we actually have an email. Perfect. So let's see. It looks like we created the draft. And now if I look here, landing page, it has the right email address. Hi, Chris. Thanks for reaching out. Perfect. So it looks like it's actually created the email. So now we got to go back to our workflow because there's just one other thing that I would want to change with this. Now, if somebody submitted a form and immediately got back a quote, it would feel a little bit unnatural. So we would actually need a little way to delay those responses. Well, N8N gives us that ability with a special node. It's called wait. So what we're going to do, we're going to add the wait node, and we can allow it to wait for seconds, minutes, hours, days. The choice is up to you. For this one, just to demonstrate, I'm going to put 5 seconds. And then if we click execute, you'll see that it'll take about 5 seconds before it moves on to the next step. So now that we have everything connected, we're going to make sure that the whole process works. Now, if you remember, we pinned some data, so we're going to need to unpin all of the data so that way it can generate a new response. And then to test this workflow, we're going to simply hit execute workflow. And let's just put in some information here. I am looking for let's do e-commerce this time. Perfect. So I'm going to hit submit. Now we go back. We can see this gone through our AI agent. It's gone through the wait process and now finally sent the email. Let's take a look at the drafts to see if it generated a draft. Perfect. So we have here, hello, Alicia, thank you for reaching out. We have an excellent e-commerce template designed to help businesses. Let's see here. And the cost is $397. And if you remember, the cost for the e-commerce templates was $397. We can just double check that. E-commerce is $397. Perfect. And it looks like everything's working. Now this is great, but what if you wanted the AI agent to have the ability to handle things that aren't in your package? Well, if you want to see how you can use branching to create even smarter workflows, then you can click right here.